All right, everybody, welcome back to the Most Valuable Podcast. I am Mark Williams here with my colleague,
Victor Castro.
and we are happy. I won't say happy. We're happy to bring this topic to you today because I think it's going to be very eye-opening to a lot of people. Okay. But before we get in there, remember to like, share, and subscribe. You can find us on YouTube and all major streaming platforms. So wherever you get your podcast from, make sure to tune in. So the topic we want to talk about, and this is something that Victor, you brought to my attention on Saturday, bright and early. It's almost, I felt like you woke up and you had this on your mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the topic is kind of reading between the lines. And what we mean by that is there's a lot of people on social media that have strong influence, whether they're celebrities, they're highly successful business people. But one thing you notice, Victor, is they all are saying one common thing. Why don't you share what that is?
Yeah, I mean, just to name a few people, a few personalities, famous personalities. Why not? Why not mention them? Because they obviously are so famous. They're gonna catch someone's attention, and it might not be for the best reasons or for their best in their best interest to pay attention to what they're saying. So Vanessa Williams, which is a famous tennis player. I think she's retired already.
Is it Venus Williams?
Venus.
Venus Williams.
Venus, sorry.
Yeah.
Venus Williams.
Yeah, she's retired, bro.
Yeah, she's retired, right? Grant Cardone. I see him all the time on social media talking about people should start building businesses and not just focus on real estate yet, but build their businesses first, create their wealth first, and then buy real estate. Which, hey, if you're able to do that, more power to you.
Sounds so simple, right?
Yeah, but
go start a business. You'll be good.
Yeah, right. But it's not as simple. And as you wait, right, for your business to pick up and start making you as much money as what you want to make, real estate's also going up. So if it takes you 5 years to build your business to where you want it to be, hey, prices just went up by more than $250,000.
You use ourselves for examples. You've been in your home for how many years?
Going on December will be 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
And the value of your home has gone up substantially.
Yes, about 200,000.
So that's about 40,000 a year.
Something like that.
If you would have waited, who saves? And to those listening and to those viewing, raise your hand if you save 40,000 a year. I'm looking in the crowd right now. I don't see any hands. As someone that came from the financial industry for over a decade, I can tell you right now that the middle-class American does not save 40,000 a year. They barely save any money a year.
Right. Exactly.
So where do we
draw the line?
So the point they're making is the money you have now, don't invest it into real estate, invest it in yourself.
Yes.
It's kind of what they're trying to say.
Yes, they're trying to pitch you an idea that, start your business, whatever that may be, whether selling clothes, whether selling food, cookies, whatever that you're into, right? Do that first for a few years, get your business up, make your money, invest it elsewhere, maybe in stocks and whatever you can.
So gamble.
But yes, in other words, but real estate.
Okay. So what happens? So my caveat to that is, look, I get it. This country is built on like entrepreneurship, right? We're big on it's one of the only countries where you can create wealth for yourself. Okay. For your skill set or whatever you have a passion for. And I kind of get the message they're saying is hey, whatever your passion is, you should pursue that because that's where you're going to gain wealth. What he fails to tell you, or what these people are failing to tell you, is one, Venus Williams was groomed from day one to be a tennis player. Her dad groomed her and her sister, Serena Williams, to be professional tennis players. They were all in. That didn't work. Not saying they can't be successful in life, but from a young, they were like Tiger Woods. From a young childhood, they had potential and athleticism to where their father and their coaches and everyone involved in their life were like, they're gonna go pro. So everything, all the resources were put into them to make sure they became professional tennis players. And they did, and they were at the highest levels, right? That's how they got their wealth. They didn't just wake up one day and say, hey, I have a passion for playing tennis.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
Grant Cardone, I don't really know his backstory, but he's a very successful business person. Way more successful than I probably would ever be, right? And I'm not here to, if I won the lotto, maybe, right?
Yeah.
But hey, more power to him. But they're already wealthy.
Yes.
So to me, it's like you have this platform in social media. And I sent you that one clip about the person talking about, how he got his debt removed. And it was all false. Social media is a very powerful platform because no one really fact checks anything. And if they're wrong, no one goes on and says, oh, I was wrong. They just move on with their lives, right? And whatever, like that got me clicks on that day. So who cares?
Whether it was correct or false.
I used to help small businesses get started. At one time in my professional life, I was a small business banker for one of the largest banks in the country. And my job, my 40-hour-a-week job, was to find small businesses, help them financially to put them in a position to hopefully stay in business and succeed. And one of the things that we learned, or I learned, is that a small business either dies or has a chance within the first 6 months. It's some crazy stat. Most businesses fizzle out in 6 months because they don't have enough capital. It takes a lot of resources and manpower to get a business started, regardless of what it is. You have to have like that comfort level, knowing that you're not going to make money. What is your cushion? What is your reserve, right? So there is a post. I don't know if you sent it to me, but it said if you have $8,500 in your bank account, if you have $8,500 saved, you are in the top. You have 50%. Well, let me rephrase this. Let me back it up. If you have $8,500 saved in America, you're richer than 50% of the population.
Which is crazy to think.
What just goes to show people do not save money.
Yeah.
So you're saving this money to start your business. What if the business fails? Then what? What are you left with? You're left with nothing. You have nothing to show for it. You tried. Congratulations. What they fail to tell you is a lot of business owners leverage their property to start businesses. Doesn't mean they sell their property, the equity. So you just built $40,000 a year in equity. You started a real estate business, yes, right? If you wanted to grow that business, you can tap into your equity to fund your business, to give you the capital to try to get it started and to maintain. And guess what? If it failed, you're out that equity. You don't lose your home unless you don't pay your payment. You go get another job, pay your payment. You know?
That is correct.
So,
and we're not telling anyone not to follow their dreams.
We're following our dreams.
Like, we're not telling you don't start a business, just because we're saying it and go pursue real estate.
You should start a business.
But what I'm saying is, like, don't get the wrong idea that we're trying to sway you a certain way. That's all I'm saying. But like, it's crazy that, it's easy for the millionaire to say this. Mm-hmm. They have all the money in the world. They could easily buy 50 homes in the snap of the fingers and still have plenty of money left over.
And my question to them, do they own their homes?
I'm sure they do.
Or they probably own several homes, right? They probably have a portfolio of homes that are
making them
making them residual income.
Yes.
That's a business. Owning a home can be a business, right? When you own rental properties, that's a business. And we talked about this a little bit in the last podcast about like rental restrictions and stuff. That's somebody's business. Most people listening to this podcast are not buying a home because they're starting the home's their business. You're buying a home because you need somewhere to live. And maybe you're just tired of throwing away money in the garbage can, right? To someone else's pocket and never seeing that money again. That's what home ownership is. And then if you want to pursue and follow your dreams and start your business, wouldn't you feel more comfortable knowing that you're starting a business and you're going all in, but you own the roof over your head? Because if that business fails, let's just say, you always play devil's advocate, right? Play devil's advocate here. You work a 9 to 5, you bust your tail, you save up, you want to start a business. You make the best tacos you feel in all of the East Bay, and you want to start a food truck, right? So you're saving, but you own your home. And you quit your 9 to 5 and you go all in on this food truck. And 6 months down the line, food truck ain't doing too hot. Right? Well, what's the natural thing you do? You're going to sell the food truck.
You go back to your 9 to 5.
You go back to your 9 to 5. Let's just say you don't want to go back. Let's just say economy takes a turn for the worse, which it has, and you can't get hired. So you sell your food truck, you're paying off that debt, and you're scraping by, but you fall a little bit behind on your mortgage. I'm going to stop right here before I go further. You never want to be delinquent on your mortgage. It will ruin your credit. That being said, you're not, if you were late on your mortgage a couple months, you're not going to have the lender knocking on your door telling you to get out. Right?
Yep.
There's programs out there to help you try to save your home. By the time something goes into foreclosure, we can talk 12 months, 24 months, 36 months. Like, it may be a long time. And even then, they're still going to try to help you figure it out. Now, you have same situation happens and you have a landlord. You're going to be late on your rent 2 months?
You're out.
Depending on the city, right?
Yeah.
You don't live in Oakland or San Francisco.
Rent control.
You don't have a rent control city. Guess what? Where are you going to live now? Times seem a little bit harder to me. Here's another thing that I tell my clients too that have purchased homes. If shit hits the fan, you call me, I sell your home. If you had purchased your home and you've been in there a couple years, odds are, at worst, you're going to sell the home, get your down payment back, and make enough to cover what it costs to sell the home. Your agent, my expense, and if we end up offering concessions to the buyer. You're going to get that down payment back, whether it was 5% or 10%. You'll get that money back, plus enough money to pay me, and then you'll be at square one to go rent. Shit hit the fan. Right?
Yep.
I mean, that's pretty low risk.
Yeah. Yeah, no. And another thing that really, really, pisses me off, Mark, is the way they make it seem. Like when I was watching this video, Venus's video, she was on a podcast, and they have, obviously, their platform is a lot bigger than ours.
Hey, we do have someone in Japan. We do have someone in Japan listening to our podcast.
Hey, what's up? But like, just think about it. Like, she's reaching out to way more people.
Yeah.
Just keeping it real, right?
Just based on who she is.
Hey, before we kill it on here and everyone starts listening to us. But fingers crossed. But that's the point. And she mentioned this. She said, before you save $100,000 to buy your home, why don't you go buy your business? Those were her exact words. You don't need $100,000 to buy a home. It would be nice, but not.
Yeah, you don't need it though.
You don't need $100,000 or $200,000 like she mentioned it. You can potentially get in with $30,000, $50,000, which is less than half of what she mentioned.
Yep.
And
I mean, that's the price of a car nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. So she made it seem that way, and that's what kind of gets to me too. It's like she's sending the wrong message.
Yeah.
You got famous people over here with money that can buy cash telling people that don't have the money to save $100,000 to, to buy your house.
Yeah.
That's
And there's so I want to, foreshadow, but I have a video coming out and it talks about, and it'll probably be posted in later this month, right? And it's about building wealth. And the first 100,000 is the hardest to get to. They say in building wealth, your first 100,000 is the hardest because you're usually, you're not starting with anything really. Every dollar counts. Whether you're investing in the stock market or really you're doing real estate flipping or you're starting a business, right? There's so much volatility. There's so much unknown. And a lot of people fail to get to that 100K because they make decisions based on emotion. It's just human nature. I mean, we play fantasy football every week, and I make decisions and sometimes the week doesn't go our way, and we make a decision on emotions instead of why did that player not do good? You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah,
So it's the same thing. Like when you're starting a business, I mean, we started business as real estate. My first year wasn't great. I didn't make any money for almost over 6 months. I looked in the mirror every day and said, did I choose the right path?
yeah.
I'm putting in a lot of work, but nothing's paying off. Now, I was in a position financially where that was okay. But even being okay with that, I was still feeling the stress and pain. So I can imagine those that maybe aren't set up as securely financially starting to start a business and it just isn't panning out. You're probably freaking out after a couple weeks and then you're making decisions just based on just like raw emotion as opposed to taking the time to become like a student of that craft to where you feel kind of like a framework of what works based on maybe your research of what other people have done to make things work. So when you jump into it, hey, this business takes 3 months before you get traction. So I'm not going to stress, I'm going to do these things that I'm supposed to be doing. And then 3 months, I should start building up some traction. Yeah.
Consistency.
So, for them to say, build up this first 100K and use it for your business. Yeah. Okay. But you can do the same thing and buy a house in the process.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. It's what I tell my sister. We and her have conversations every day almost, and she's stressed about her 9 to 5. She's a paralegal, and I'm like, I keep on telling her, what do you want to do? Do you want to go into law school because that was her ultimate goal, or do you not want to pursue that because you see what it could be? You work under lawyers,
Yeah.
so maybe starting a business might be another option and
Yeah.
just a side gig or something. We have these conversations all the time. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I have being that, real estate, we started our own business, right? And we still stress about it. I'm in year 7, bro. I still stress about the peaks and valleys of business ownership. You know, we're trying our goal as a business owner, your goal is to have consistency, right? We have consistency. I have consistency in the overall year, and I have somewhat consistency on the flow of business throughout the year. But there's things that are out of our control that can quickly change the outlook of your business. COVID quickly changed the outcome of our business,
100%.
right? Historical low interest rates quickly changed the outlook of our profession, right? How many more people were doing real estate during those times? And I don't want to say it was easy, but it was easier because the government was just pouring out money, making it easy. Okay, boom, overnight, it went from being easy to being some of the highest rates in the last 20 years, right? How many of those people are still in the business now? How many people we know, Victor, we have cross paths with tons of people. We've known each other for what? Going on
3-4 years.
almost 4 years,
Yeah.
okay? From when I first met you to now, how many people do we know that were in real estate and now are not.
Oh man, maybe more than my hands can count.
What I mean by in real estate, meaning that was their primary income. They still probably have their
Yeah.
license because it'd be dumb to let it expire, right? And I'm sure maybe they do a deal here and there. But where their sole focus and purpose was where they woke up and there's just real estate. They didn't have another 9 to 5 or anything. I mean, there's tons of people, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not saying that and I'm not saying that they failed. What I'm saying is it's just unpredictable.
It's a hard career, man.
It's a hard career.
It's
and
a hard
any
industry.
business is hard, right?
Yeah.
So starting a business is like consistency. And then now that you're consistent, how do you what's the goal? Growth. How do you maintain your level of service, grow? Like there's a lot that goes into it. And to go on social media or go on a platform and say, hey, everybody, I'm a millionaire. If I can do it,
You can do it too.
you can do it.
You're not a professional ex-tennis player, but you can do it too.
Yeah. You didn't make like 100 million plus from just Nike alone,
Oh my God.
So not to say that there's no truth in what they're saying, because there is truth to it.
Yes.
And I think they're trying to say like, go for it. And that's something I would say too. Go for it.
Yeah.
And not everybody wants to own a home, and that's fine.
And that's completely fine.
But don't buy a home and just spend that money on your business. There's reasons why people are buying homes.
if you're going to say that, say the consequences.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah.
Say what could happen if you don't.
If your business does not succeed.
Exactly.
You got that $100,000 and you went all in on your business and it did not succeed. And maybe you stayed afloat for a couple years and then you're like, okay, now I'm going to go buy a house. Well, in your case, Victor, that house would have cost you $120,000 more after 3 years. Interest rates went from 2%, mid twos, to the guy. I talked to some guy today that did my window tint. He bought, he did I think he did a stated income loan. He put a lot down. His interest rate was 8.25. He was asking when he should refinance. I said after the election. But you get what I'm saying? That like, okay, rates right now, you're probably going to be,
6.75.
Nah, you'd probably be like low sixes, high fives, right? Depending on the type of loan. But it's not 2%. And the house is 100 plus something $1,000 more. Like, I'm just using like a general.
Yeah.
So if you would have started that business 3 years ago, you're living in a totally different neighborhood this year.
Yeah.
And then you'd have to save up that money again. Like, how long did it take you to save up that money to start the business?
And you saved that money when it was a healthy economy, maybe. Now, with all the inflation, you ain't saving that money.
Yeah. If it was me, and this kind of was me, I had my 9 to 5 that I hated. I just did it. I was good at it, but I never complain about work. It is what it is. That's what my life path took me to. I'm gonna make the most of the situation. That situation, I made the most of it. I got to a certain level. I was making good money. It taught me a lot, but it also helped me buy my property. And after I got the first property, it helped me get property number 2. And then when I was comfortable in property number 2 and I was comfortable financially from my 9 to 5, I said, you know what? I'm going to start my own business. That's exactly what I did. And here we are 7 years later.
You chose real estate as
because
your business.
The one thing I was not stressing about was knowing how much my cost of living was. Because when you own your home, your cost of living is fixed. My mortgage isn't going up. Property tax, they can only raise it so much per year. So I knew if I had X amount saved with utilities and food, like I knew what it cost to live. So when I made that endeavor and I jumped into being a business owner, I had enough saved up where I wouldn't really have to go into like reserves. I gave myself like 2 years.
You made a calculated
risk. Right? And then before I jumped into real estate, I had some friends that did the same kind of transition from the same industry. And I did my research and I asked them. And then I talked to people, I networked, and I found out, how long it took them to get consistent, to get to a certain dollar amount. Like, what were they doing? Like, I did my research and then I jumped in And then I still was trying to learn. You still had to learn as I was jumping in, right? But it was calculated as I could be. Because I felt if I would have just not been in that financial situation, I would have crumbled after like month 3 and I would have went back to my 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Cuz it's when you just see red on your
Negative, negative, negative.
bank statement when things are just coming out and nothing's coming in, it gets a little scary.
Yeah, it does. My path to real estate was a little different than yours. I was kind of forced to. It was either all in or I don't know what was going to happen, to be honest with you. But I dove right into it, man. I dove right into it and it panned out. I had a little bit more success in the first 6 months than you did. But as time goes on, you still see the that demand goes up and down and everything can change. Like right now, man, this has been my hardest year in my 4 years.
Yeah.
And it's because, the economy and there's a lot of people out there that are scared and up against the fence and they don't know what to do.
And they're listening to these podcasts
Yeah.
and people telling them, don't buy, you're going to put yourself in a bad situation.
Yep.
And oh my gosh, like go out and start a business.
Yeah.
Just put things in perspective.
Yeah.
How many businesses that we see around town or lack thereof businesses? Like the mom and pop shop is almost extinct, right? Look at these like downtowns of cities. They're empty. The mall, empty. And these are like corporations. It's not as easy as just you put money in and it works. You probably have a lesser chance of succeeding and a higher probability of failure. But it's about when you have those failures, learning from your mistakes and then like learning from your mistakes and then how do you respond to that adversity? Yeah. And that's the same thing with real estate. You said, it's your toughest year. It's one of my toughest years. I don't want to say it's our toughest. I think financially we're doing like average.
We're
like
doing
what we
it.
want
We're
to do,
doing
but,
average,
but based on our expectation for growth, how we wanted to grow this year, we definitely didn't grow like we wanted to. So we're kind of looking at adversity and say, okay, how can we change this narrative? And that's what we've been working on.
Yeah.
And it's the plan is coming, right? It's coming soon, but we just didn't sit back and just accept our faith.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, cool. This is one of the hardest years in real estate. You talk to any real estate agent, you talk to any lender, they would tell you this is like one of their hardest years in the last, 5 to 6 years.
100%.
Right? And we've been able to basically do the same amount of business as we did last year or maybe the year before, give or take. But we've had consistent success, meaning we didn't have really any drop off. So in that respect, it's successful, but we didn't really have any growth. And we're not just sitting back and accepting that faith. We're like, why didn't we have growth? How do we navigate and put our business in a position where regardless of the stuff we can't control, we can still grow? Because there's agents out there that are doing it still like at a high level. And it's very impressive, right? So it's, how do we, and we're not competing with them, but like you want to compare yourself to those that you want to obtain, like comparing ourselves. What are we doing? What are we not doing that they're doing?
Yeah.
And guess what? We reached out to
brain.
Guess what? How do you solve that problem, Victor? How do you find out what they're doing?
We put ourselves in a situation where we attend maybe seminars, we read on the different things that they're doing. We get ourselves involved a little bit more out there.
Well, how about we even just ask the people what they're doing?
Or maybe just ask them. Yeah.
I mean, we have just literally asked other agents this year, what are you doing?
Right.
Can we take you to lunch?
Right. No, yeah.
Give us some insight. I like that idea. Do you mind if I steal it? Do you mind if I use the same idea?
Professionally,
because here's the thing. There's in any business, there's always room for another great restaurant. There's always room for another great, hairdresser or barber. There's plenty of business to go around. There's millions of people in this country alone, right? So there's always room. There's always business out there. And the more successful businesses that are out there, I feel that raises the stakes, meaning the next business that wants to be has to be better than the already one that's already good. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I look at it when we talk about like competitive competition and, competition within your industry. It's not a competition to like, oh, I hope they fail. I hope, oh, that person goes out of business. It's more of, wow, I'm setting this person as my goal. Like I want to get to their level. And then once I get to their level, I want to surpass them. And hopefully that brings the next person, the next Mark or Victor, starting their own business to say, oh, Mark and Victor, what are they doing? I want to do better than them. And that can only benefit the consumer
100%.
because it raises the level of, it raises the standard, right? That's kind of like how I look at the industry, that if we all kind of like push each other and compete in that sense, we're raising the standard, we're raising the bar of like what we should be doing as like real estate agents.
And I think that's the good thing about Real Brokerage, the brokerage that we're part of, is that that's the culture that they're building.
Yep.
And we're going to be attending the conference in Las Vegas, the Rice Conference in Las Vegas.
Third one. Yep.
In about 2 weeks. 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Up. Yep.
And we're very much looking forward to that. Talking to very highly successful individuals in real estate, seeing what they're doing and how can we learn and adapt and bring more value to the consumer, to people that are looking to sell and buy.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it's all about. So, man, I mean, great topic, dude. Like, for real. And just to touch on your point, like, you want to start that business, go for it. My tip would be, and kind of my final words would be, if you're going to start a business, before you jump into it, try to just have your ducks in order. Like, do your research, right? The business you're doing probably has already been done. It's very hard to like invent something or in that field, right? Who's successful? Reach out to them. Pick their brain. Talk to a couple people that are doing what you want to do in that business that you want to start. See if they're willing to share the challenges they face to get started. And maybe you can avoid those challenges because they're going to tell you how to avoid them. Right? Maybe they'll get some insight on how much financially it's going to look like to get started. How much capital or reserve will you need? How much money do you need to live if your business doesn't make anything? How much time do you want to give yourself to make this business successful, right? Once it is successful, what's your plan after that? If it is not successful, what's your plan? Like, try to look, there's always going to be risk involved. And if it was easy, everybody would do it. But the more you can plan out, I would say the better the outcome is going to be. Regardless of how it turns, I'm hoping that if you're starting a business, you're listening to this, I hope you have unlimited success. But if it doesn't go your way, hopefully you plan for that as well.
We spoke about calculated risk. You want that calculated risk to be as calculated as possible.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you still got to do it, but yeah, as calculated as possible, man, and go out and do it. But, if part of your plan is to start a business and part of your plan and the other part of your plan is to buy a home, it may make sense to buy the home first. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah.
It may make sense to buy the home first, and the home might be able to help you
get
that business started.
100%. That's what I told my sister. My sister's all caught up on saving. I'm like,
but she got the home.
I'm like, look, you don't need to be concerned with saving money right now. Your house is making you money. But anyways, that's,
Look, You can't take it with you. There's something like savings, and then I don't know, like you can say there's different ways to save. The rule of thumb in any wealth building is having your money work for you, not work for somebody else. If it's in a savings account, it's working for somebody else. It's working for the bank.
100%. Yep.
If it's in a house, it's working for you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just being honest. If it's in the stock market, it's working for you, but it's very high risk, right? Depending on your risk level, right? So it's about having your money work for you. And, starting a business is trying to have your money that you're investing work for you, which is great. But that's kind of the key. Any wealthy person would tell you that their money works for them. Most of their money is not just locked up in a savings account or in their mattress or whatever, in a shoebox. That's like, that doesn't do nothing. You're losing money when it's in those vessels. So
Yeah. Yep.
cool, man. Any final words, or you good?
I'm good, man. I got everything off my chest that I had to say. Venus is, not correct in my opinion, and neither is Grant Cardone. And I would be very careful in taking anything that they say to heart, because at the end of the day, they're landlords and they want you to rent.
Yeah, for sure. Well said, Victor. Cool, guys. Well, thank you again for joining us on the Most Valuable Podcast. Remember, like, share, and subscribe on YouTube and all major streaming platforms. And with that, we look forward
to winning with you.